My heroes this year are all of those who've been working on the front lines to keep us safe and healthy in this challenging time. I'm talking about the healthcare workers who cared for the sick, the grocery store workers who kept the shelves stocked, the teachers and childcare workers who've comforted our children, the farmers who ensured we had food on the table, the volunteers who raised their hand to help those in need, and the women and men in uniform who helped care for our most vulnerable. They are the everyday heroes who we cheered on and hung signs in our windows for. What the notwithstanding clause does is says, regardless of the fact that we are attacking your fundamental rights or limiting your fundamental rights, and the Charter says that's wrong, we're still going to go ahead and do it. It's basically a loophole that allows a majority to override fundamental rights of a minority.
An Angus Reid study finds nearly 70% of Canadians support the idea of firing onboard airline staff, school teachers, police officers, paramedics, firefighters, and medical professionals who aren't vaccinated.
At the same time, however, I will point out that the Charter of Rights and Freedoms is seen more favorably in Quebec by Quebecers than by most other provinces in the country. There were a number of studies done on that a few years ago. And Quebecers are extremely proud of being in favor of gender equality, in favor of the freedom of expression, in favor of freedom of conscience, which is why there are so many people now reflecting on how it is that in a society that values its freedom and its respect for fundamental rights, you can have a young woman lose her job as a teacher because she was a Muslim.
A major deadline is looming over Quebec's healthcare workers: get vaccinated by Friday or be suspended without pay.
Thousands of nurses in Quebec could be off the job by the end of the week as the deadline to be fully vaccinated against COVID-19 quickly approaches.
Nobody should be doing their jobs under the threat or under the threats of violence or acts that put them in danger. That's absolutely unacceptable. But it's not just at political rallies that this is happening. There are healthcare workers across the country who are getting hassled and intimidated and bullied.
But like I said, what do you do with someone with an allergy? What do you do with someone who's immunocompromised, or someone who, for religious or deep convictions, decides that no, they're not going to get a vaccine? We're not a country.
What do you do?
We're not a country that makes vaccination mandatory, for example.
More than 170 workers at 2 hospitals in Windsor, Ontario have been suspended without pay because they haven't gotten a dose of COVID-19 vaccine.
And the list of companies choosing to mandate vaccines for staff seems to be growing every day, raising concerns and questions about workers' rights.
The City of Toronto will require employees to be fully immunized against COVID-19. The TTC and Metrolinx were soon to follow, with Sick Kids Hospital also implementing a mandatory vaccine policy. And RBC is the first big bank to take that stance.
We turn to a vaccine ultimatum for members of Ontario's Ford government.
Get a COVID-19 shot by tomorrow or get kicked out of the Progressive Conservative caucus.
Bottom line is, if anyone who doesn't have a legitimate medical reason for not getting fully vaccinated chooses to not get vaccinated, there will be consequences.
If you work for the federal government, either in the public sector, for a crown corporation, or in a federally regulated industry, negotiations are underway to make the vaccine a job requirement.
We've seen situations where conservative backbenchers have referred to some of this government's decisions as tyrannical.
If you want to get on a plane or a train in the coming months, you're going to have to be fully vaccinated.
Do we fall into division and hatred and racism and violence? Or do we say, no, you know what? That doesn't work to get us to back down.
That won't scare Canadians from standing up for what's right. And I know Canadians. I've met with people from coast to coast to coast. And if you threaten them with violence and try to scare them away from what's right, we double down and we move forward into the future we know our kids and grandkids deserve. Over the last little while, you've probably seen the disturbing anger of anti-vaxxers and anti-maskers. So the folks out there tonight shouting, the anti-vaxxers.
And you know what? If you don't want to get vaccinated, that's your choice. But don't think you can get on a plane or a train besides vaccinated people and put them at risk.
They are putting at risk their own kids, and they're putting at risk our kids as well. And I know will not allow those voices, those special interest groups, those protesters who can, I don't even want to call them protesters, those anti-vaxxer mobs. Because everyone needs to get vaccinated, and those people are putting us all at risk. When people are seeing cancer treatments and elective surgeries put off because beds are filled with people who chose not to get vaccinated, they're frustrated. When people see that we're in lockdowns or serious public health restrictions right now because the risk posed to all of us by unvaccinated people, people get angry.
Mais il y a aussi des gens qui sont farouchement opposés à la vaccination. Qui sont extrémistes. Qui ne croient pas dans la science, qui sont souvent misogynes, souvent racistes aussi. C'est un petit groupe, mais qui prend de la place. Et là, il faut faire un choix en tant que leader, en tant que pays. Est-ce qu'on tolère ces gens-là ou est-ce
The other part of that, come on. Really? Okay, this is it. Will you please respect the people in this room? Will you please respect the people in this room? Will you please respect the people in this room? No, then please leave. If you're not going to respect the people in this room, you need to leave. That's the rule. Sorry. Go ahead.
You've sold us out to globalism.
Okay.
You are not working for Canada. You are working for your globalist partners. I wonder how much they're paying you to betray Canada. What do we do with traitors in Canada, Mr. Trudeau? We used to hang them for treason. And you're doing that very same thing to us now. We know what you're doing.
There's a level of admiration I actually have for China. Because their basic dictatorship is allowing them to actually turn their economy around on a dime and say we need to go green as fast as we need to start investing in solar.